welcome to Stories Around the Fire. Tonight's guest is Eric Ramsey, who is an activist and brainchild behind the inclusive human civil rights group of Dallas known as In Solidarity. He has led and demonstrated in many a peaceful protest for rights and liberties for marginalized groups. He's a believer in peace, change, and forward progression, and he's faced some scrutiny and opposition along his journey, but has remained steadfast in his message. So tonight we're going to talk to him. Let me add him. Hey, Regina. Hi.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to have you here. I feel like, it's been so long since I've seen you, and
Been forever.
mhm. All right, so I'll just jump right into the interview questions so we can get to the fun part.
Okay.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what In Solidarity is and what they do, what you guys do.
So, originally, In Solidarity started out as just a group. So, we started back in 2015, and it really just sort of started as a way for some college students, such as myself, to get together, do stuff in the community because we wanted to like volunteer and, do stuff like that outside of school, but we didn't really know where to start. So it sort of just became a way for us to get other like-minded students involved. And then, of course, the 2016 election happened and Donald Trump became president. So it really just grew from there. And now we are a LGBTQIA plus led group. Um, and we're intersectional, which means, we believe that all of these social justice battles are interconnected and interwoven. Um, so we like you said, we really just believe in social change across the board, whether it be for racial justice for Black and Brown people, or women's rights, bodily autonomy, LGBTQIA plus equality. Um, we really just want to see we really just want to see change across the board and to see people no longer marginalized and oppressed. So we always joke around, but like really wherever there's a need for organizing is where we'll be. We don't have like a set mission statement, or
Right.
we don't have like a set thing that we organize solely for. Like we are an LGBT inclusive group, but we don't solely organize for LGBT issues. So
Right. Well, that's good. I mean, I kind of feel like a lot of people don't know where to start, but
mm,
they want to help or they want to do something, they want to volunteer. And, I mean, whether or not they end up, you know, doing things with you guys can show them, what opportunities are out there for whatever they're looking.
right. And that was sort of like the driving factor for me. Like I said, is I didn't know where. I mean, the school that I was at the time had like school led things to get involved in, but I wanted to do more out in the community at large. And I mean, granted, there are so many organizations out there. It was daunting almost. Like I didn't know what organization to go for, or like who to reach out to, or like where to get started. So like I said, we really just wanted to create like a safe space for people who may be a little scared of getting involved at first. That way they can feel a little more comfortable, because I mean we all started not knowing any idea what we were doing. So
Right. Yeah. Kind of like a safe and, where you can kind of just not worry about how
right.
how much time you have in previous volunteering or protesting or whatever. Yeah, because I think that's kind of intimidating.
It
If you
definitely is.
so what made you decide to pursue this to the extent that you have? You already talked a little bit about that, like the election and stuff.
Um,
Um,
Honestly, it's just something that I've always sort of been passionate about. I've always sort of been passionate about helping others, and I've always sort of been really civically minded. Um, And just with the way, like I said, after 2016, the 2016 election happened, and it was just one thing after another. It felt like it was crucial that we do as much as we can. um and it's sort of been the same this year with all of the anti-police brutality protests that have been happening. It's sort of just seemed like crucial, like we can't really,
Uh-huh.
like we need
Yeah.
it. um so I think for me, honestly, at this point, it's more of a need, because like change needs to happen, and it needs people out there willing to do the work, and it especially needs white people who are willing to put their privilege to the side and do what they need to do to uplift others. So that's really sort of another driving reason for me, is I really just want to be able to put the privilege that I have as a white man, on the line and use it for the betterment of others. And it's not always easy, but I mean that's sort of my driving factor.
That's awesome. So how did you first get into activism? Did you do it when you were like a kid, like high school?
So I mean, I've always I did volunteering in high school. Like I volunteered with like groups like student council and like Key Club and Rotary and stuff like that. I did 4-H in high school, but never really like the sense that I do it now, because I'm from a really small town, so we didn't have protests or marches or anything like that. And like I mean, growing up in a small town, I was never really exposed to that. Like I mean, saw I saw a little bit of it through history and through readings and through TV, of course, but like it was never something that I was ever exposed to.
Right.
So my first foray into like volunteering was definitely through high school. When I was younger, my grandma used to take me to like the Salvation Army and stuff to volunteer. Um, but yeah, like it didn't really start until I moved away from home, and moved to Dallas, and out into the big world. And I think that's when my worldview really began to take shape. Because when you're from a small town, like your worldview is so narrow. Like you're only exposed to what the people around you want you to be exposed to. Very few external factors go into that. So it wasn't until I moved to Dallas that I really got to open myself up a little bit and like get more hands-on experience. And honestly, I didn't really get fully started until 2015, again when we kicked this off, and then really 2016 when things really hit the fan. um but yeah, that's sort of, I mean, volunteering is sort of where I got started, and like it sort of became like a high, almost like you enjoy doing it, so it makes you want to keep doing it. um, so yeah, it just sort of grew from like regular volunteering.
Right. So one of the first things that you put together was a candlelight vigil for, wasn't it refugees?
Yeah, so it was right after that very first immigration ban that Donald Trump enacted against the several Muslim countries that he imposed travel bans on. Um, and we put a vigil together because there were some immigrants, and I believe a couple refugees as well, who were being pretty much held in the Dallas airport, because the ban was enacted, so they weren't being allowed to leave to enter U.S. soil. Um, so the travel ban, or the vigil that we put together, it was really just a way of bringing the community together to stand in support of our immigrant brothers and sisters, and to show that we didn't agree with the immigration ban. Um, and then we didn't organize this, but there were also a lot of airport protests that went on around the same time that we participated in, and those are pretty cool. It's a little different protesting in an airport, but yeah, it was in response to that immigration ban.
Yeah. And I remember you were on the news, you were on like KERA because there were so many people who responded to that, other groups and just people who came out. It really turned into something I feel like much larger than you could have ever expected. Like there were helicopters flying over. It was a beautiful scene, so many people together. So obviously there was definitely a need for what you were doing, like, hey, let's get together.
Right. It was terrifying. Like, not gonna lie. Like I don't like being on TV. I don't like giving interviews. I mean, I'm comfortable with you because I know you, but like when it comes to like other events that I've done in the past, anytime like I'm approached by media and they ask for an interview and I'm like no, and I push a teammate to the front, I'm like they can handle it. Like that's just I don't enjoy that. It's not who I am.
Yeah.
So it was very scary. And luckily that first event there, um, I didn't really have to like speak or everything that I did was from the back, which is what I enjoy. Like I very much enjoy more the organizing aspect more so than I do like the you know with the microphone. That's like I don't enjoy that as much. But yeah, it was scary. um it was a little overwhelming and like there was some pushback, of course. Like I mean, it, just about with just about everything that I've done, there's always haters. There's always people that are like why are you doing this? You're stupid. You don't need to be doing this. Blah blah blah. Um, a lot fouler than that, of course. But yeah, so like that was a little scary too, just because that was my first time like experiencing um that level of vitriol, I guess. That I because up to that point in my life, that was the biggest thing that I'd ever done. So I was
Right.
I hadn't fully prepared myself for that aspect of it.
Yeah, I think it would be overwhelming for anyone. I know you probably just did not realize like the amount of people and then, any kind of hate that you got from that, which really I can't understand where that would have come from. I mean, obviously I know it exists, but um it seems kind of strange because there were, police there, there were, every color. I can't really like I don't
That's
know.
always been my level of thinking too. Like human rights are not a political issue. Like it's not partisan. It's not blue versus red. It's not Democrat, Republican. Like human rights are human rights. So like it shouldn't matter who you're voting for. You should care that people are being trampled on. Like that's my level of thinking. So I mean, like you said, like it's obvious the hate is out there. That it's obvious the racism and the bigotry are out there, but it's really hard to fathom sometimes, um,
Definitely.
especially over something like people being detained in an airport for 7, 8 hours because someone says they're not welcome here. Like I, I,
Right.
I still to this day I don't get it, but it's definitely one of those things that's really hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah. Oh, like many of the things that happen.
Right.
So if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing if this part of your life wouldn't have, unfolded? What would you be doing?
It's a good question, because it is such a huge part of my life. I mean, there was a period of time where I took a break just because I had personal things going on, and it just I didn't feel that I was able to give that much of myself to the community, so I had to take a break for a while. And like it was almost like a hole existed, I guess, because like I had so much free time, um, that I wasn't dedicating to this. Um, so it didn't really feel all that great. Um, I mean, I'd like to think that I would, be in like finishing up college or something like that. But if I wasn't doing all the protesting, I'm not sure what I'd be doing. I mean, I'm in school now, finally finishing up my bachelor's. Um, but I mean, like I said, it's such a huge part of my life. I can't really imagine not doing it. But I would love to not do it. I'd love there to not be a need for it because,
Oh,
like,
right.
doing the things that we do. Um, I mean, like I said, I get a certain high off of it because I know that I'm helping. others, but it's not so much a matter of, I'm not out there having a grand old time. Like, that's not the point. Um,
Right.
but yeah, like I said, it's such a huge part of my life. I can't really see not doing it, but I would love to not do it.
Right. No need for it would be great.
Right. Like, if we could just, have a society where, black people weren't killed every day by police officers, or brown children weren't being held in cages at our borders, like, that would be fantastic. Like, sign me up for that country.
Right. Yeah, I think that world, that universe.
Right.
Um, how have your demonstrations been affected by the pandemic? Have you had to do anything differently?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, like, one thing we always strive to do is to make sure people wear masks. Obviously, when you're in the streets and you're marching or you're protesting or whatever we're doing, it's hard to sometimes maintain that social distancing.
Mhm.
But we definitely always strive to make sure masks are worn. And for the most part, I've never had issues with having to tell anybody to put a mask on. You
No.
know, like, I really can't think of a single instance where I've even seen a protester not wearing a mask. I mean, there have been instances where, someone might remove their mask, like catch their breath or get a drink of water or whatever. But for the most part, that hasn't been an issue. Um,
Right.
which is good because, that was part of the pushback a lot of protesters were getting there in the beginning. It's like, oh, y'all want to complain about us not wearing masks, but you're out in the streets. Like, no, we're wearing our masks though. Like, we're taking our precautions.
Right.
And there have been a couple times where things have had to be canceled, like when we had that really big spike a couple months ago. I mean, we're still spiking, but um, there have been times where we've had to push stuff or, cancel stuff altogether just for safety, just because we don't want to risk anybody. But for the most part, I mean, we adapted. And you kind of have to.
Yeah.
It's been rough, marching in the heat. Luckily, it's cooling down now, but over the summer, marching in that heat wearing a mask was not cute at all.
I bet. Mm, yeah. Um, so I'm gonna shift. If you want to talk some more about anything, that's fine. We can go back to it, but I'm gonna shift more towards you,
Okay.
individually. Um, not to take any focus away from what you do because I think it's very important and I think you're very brave for doing it and all of the people that work with you and go out with you and stuff. A lot of people either just are too afraid to do stuff like that or have their own reasons. And I'm not talking about the people against it. I mean, the people that are for you,
Right.
but there are other ways that they can help. And we'll talk about that at the end because I know, like, a few ways that they can,
Right.
other ways other than, getting out there. But that is very important that people do that, because uh, if we look at the past, that's how things get changed.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know why people are acting brand new. Like,
Like, this is something we just thought up overnight.
no,
No, definitely not.
taking cues, man. From yeah. Anyways, so what do you do for fun?
Um, so what is fun exactly? So between work and school and protesting and organizing, like, I've been fairly strapped for time. Um, I like to video game. That's one of my big stress relieves. Um, I like to read, but my adult ADD or ADHD or whatever prevents that from happening sometimes. My attention span is that of a small child. Um, but I said earlier that we don't do protesting for fun, but a part of it is fun because, the camaraderie that I have with, like, my teammates, and they're teammates, but essentially they're family. That's fun to me being with them. Um, I enjoy my job for the most part.
Hey,
It's not like I work in mental health, so it's difficult a little bit.
rewarding
Um,
though.
but it's fun. I work with kids, so um, that's like today. one of the sessions I had today, we made slime, um, which was messy, but I mean it was fun. So I
Yeah.
mean I try and find fun when I can. Take my dog for walks, or I'm a homebody, so I enjoy just being at home with have friends over, watch movies, play video games, whatever.
Right
I'm
on.
single though.
What would you say is your most useless talent?
Oh, my plus talent. I don't know. I used to be able to fit my fist in my mouth, but I haven't tried that in so long. So, but I would have to say that I don't know. I don't even remember how I discovered that. It was in high school, so I was young and dumb. But
Everybody tries it once.
yeah, um, I don't know. Like useless talent. I can't really think of anything.
I mean, I think that's pretty useless.
Really, I don't really think I have talent in the traditional sense. Like I can't sing, or I can't play guitar, or I can't paint, or I'm a good writer, but I don't do it. I used to do it. I used to write like short stories, like poems and stuff, but I haven't done that since I was like 20, 21. So as far as like talents go, I don't really like. It's hard because I really don't think I have any like I said talents in like the traditional sense. I mean, I consider my organizing a talent, but yeah, I don't know other than that.
Power Ranger kicks.
Yeah, there you go. I can do wall splits.
That's fun. What is the strangest thing that you've ever done for money?
Oh Lord. Um, oh God. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to keep it like safe for work.
Right.
Um, so the strangest thing I've done to date, I was really young, so anybody watching this, please don't judge me. Um, but when I first moved to Dallas, I was new to the gay scene. Like I didn't have that back home. So this guy offered me photo or money for photos of like my feet and stuff. So I did that. Um, I only got like $50 out of it. It wasn't like anything big,
I
but
mean,
I was like 19. So
feet is feet.
yeah, and like it didn't. It seemed weird to me then because I didn't realize back then that there's like a huge market for that. So like looking back on it, I'm like, I could have
You could
maybe
have had a lucrative business.
I could have pushed the price a little on that because, like I said, I was young. I that was my first like foray when I first moved to Dallas. That was like my first foray in like the gay community because, like I said, I don't have that back home. So yeah, if I had known, knowing what I know now, if I had known it then, that'd have been a little bit more lucrative. But I mean, I've had some odd jobs. Like I, what have I done odd job wise? I mean, I was a busboy once. No, not knocking busboys or anything, but I did that for money. But
Bus Busing is hard.
yeah, it really is, and it's messy. I don't like cleaning other people's messes, so.
Comments?
Huh?
Can you see the comments?
Oh, Ben, yeah,
Okay. I was just making sure you could see them.
yeah.
Um, what is the most dangerous place that you've ever been to?
That's hard because unfortunately I haven't traveled outside of the United States yet. Um, I really don't think I've traveled anywhere. I mean, I've been to New York City. I don't know if you want to count that, but it wasn't as scary as like TV makes it seem. I mean, it was scary the first time I went because I was like, holy shit, like this place is huge. Like, I mean, it's huge, but then you get there and you're like, oh, it's huge. Um, I mean, I saw a homeless man peeing in the subway. That was pretty terrifying at first. But after I went back my second and third time, you sort of realize that's just like the norm for New York City. Um, but like places that I've been that are dangerous, I think that's sort of like a matter of perspective, I guess. I can't think of anywhere I've gone where I felt in danger. Actually, that's a lie. Um, I went to we were in Seattle several years ago, and we went. I wish I remember the name of the place we went hiking at, but we got lost, and that was pretty terrifying
Uh,
because um, the night before we went hiking, I was reading like Reddit horror stuff, like Let's Not Meet and stuff like that. And I remember reading a story about some forest people that like lived in the forest. So like we got lost, and like my mind instantly went to that. Like I'm gonna run into some uh, hills have eyes type people out here.
For real.
um, so I mean, it wasn't scary for me, but yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anywhere that I've been that's been like super scary or dangerous.
I mean, that sounds that sounds like top of
It
my
was
list.
fun in hindsight, but like when you're in the middle of the friggin' forest and like a state you don't know, like yeah, that's pretty scary.
Hmm. Definitely. Where is the most beautiful place you've ever been?
Oh, I'll have to say Seattle, Portland. I love it up there. I've only been once, unfortunately. I was actually supposed to go back for my birthday, but then COVID happened. But Snoqualmie Falls is gorgeous. This last time I was supposed to go, we were supposed to go hiking at Crater Lake, which like a huge
Mm.
lake that was apparently actually made by like a meteor or something like that. So we were supposed to go hiking there, but um, I just love that entire region, like all the forests and the hills and the mountains. Like it's just gorgeous.
It is. It is. That is a that is a favorite of many. That Pacific Northwest.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's beautiful. I mean, like it's been a couple years since I've been, so I've read more horror stories since then. So like now I know that forest people are like a real thing up there, but I mean it's still gorgeous up there.
Get you a taser.
Right.
Let's see. What advice would you give someone starting out that wanted to give some of their time or some of their money or, just something to help out to, a cause like such as like the social injustice that we see with, black and brown people or LGBTQ. How does it go? IA.
Yeah, LGBTQIA plus. Yeah.
What is some advice that you would give to them?
Um, First thing I would say is really just do your research. Like really do your research because there are a lot of organizations out there. Um, but like dig a little deeper. Like don't just like take things for face value because there are a lot of organizations out there that look good on the outside, but are pretty problematic on the inside. Um, so like you might think you're supporting something, um, but they turn out to be completely against something else like LGBT. Um, so really research is key. Like I mean, if you're for so like if you're I always tell people if you're for social change, you need to be for social change across the board, and you need to support people who are of that same mindset. Like you don't want to go and give your money to an LGBTQIA plus group if they are racially problematic. And there are groups like that. There are gay groups out there that are pretty damn racist. Um, so like you really yeah, like I said, you really just want to do your research and make sure that the groups you are monetarily supporting are on the up and up and not, racially problematic or, homophobic or transphobic or anything of that nature. Um, what other advice would I give? Um, I would say get a friend involved. It makes get when you get a friend involved, it makes the process seem a little less daunting. Like, because I remember the first time I went to a major protest by myself, like I was terrified. I didn't know anybody. I mean, you meet people fast, especially in situations like that. Like you make friends, but like I know if you're socially introverted, like that, if you have someone that it'll make the entire experience much better. Um, so like don't let that aspect of me being around a bunch of strangers scare you because you will make friends. But yeah, like I said, I always suggest having somebody that you know with you. Um, and then lastly, um, what other advice would I give? think that's it. I think that's it actually. Just know who you're supporting really. Because we need to be able to hold these people. We need to be able to hold organizations accountable, um, and that includes withholding money if we need to. So just do your research, get yourself involved, get others involved. It's not as scary as it sounds. Like it seems daunting at first, but it's really not.
What about staying safe whenever, you're out in the middle of it? What is your best piece of advice for staying safe?
So I will say, since I've gotten involved in protesting, my situational awareness has gotten so much better. Um, I would say I would say being mindful of your surroundings first and foremost of whatever situation you're going into is really important. Make sure you know where you're parked. Make sure you know how to get back to your car. Make sure you know like alternative routes to get back to your car. I always say implement the buddy system. Um, so I will say like protests in Dallas have not been on the same caliber as like Portland or New York City. So really, safety hasn't been like a huge issue. I mean, there's always inherent risk when you're protesting, but when compared to other cities in the U.S., it hasn't been the worst, except for that first week and a half or so that protests kicked off when cops were shooting at us and stuff. Um, but I always say like if you're going to a major protest where tensions may be high, it's definitely good to have a buddy with you, um, or link up with someone that you know. That way you have someone watching your back. Because you in situations like that they can go anyway. So it's always best to just have someone that you know that can help keep you safe if needed. um if you're going to like a major protest where like like police are going to be like lobbing bullets, I mean lobbing tear gas and stuff like that, like I mean have make sure you're stocked. um Wear comfortable clothing. I can't tell you that first weekend here in Dallas when things were really picking up, the amount of women I saw in high heels. I saw guys in basketball shorts. Like I always recommend like wear jeans or like long pants, comfortable shoes you can run in. Because like if you fall, you don't want to scrape your legs all the hell up. Because I've had situations where I've fallen and like people like trample over me. So I mean, pants don't provide like the greatest protection, but I mean, it'll stop you from getting like all scraped up and everything. Um, so just be like, I always just say, just be smart about how you dress. Like, you don't want to look like you're going to a nightclub because then if stuff happens, like you're going to be having to remove your heels and um, just where it's if you're in a high stress situation where you might have to run, dress appropriately. Have a gas mask, especially if you know tear gas is going to be involved. um, I mean, there's really no reason to buy a gas mask right now because things aren't crazy anymore. um, but it's always good to have one just in case if you're really dedicated to being out there. Like it's good to have one just to be on the safe side. um, I don't anymore. But back when all this first started, I carried a first aid kit with me everywhere I went. I know basic first aid, which is good to know. I mean, I'm not a medic, I'm not like a nurse or anything, so I'm not going to sit there and like save someone's life. But I know CPR and like how to, stop bleeding and stuff like that if needed. Um, but carry water. That's common sense. Have water. I have a hydration pack. It's literally one of the best things I've ever bought. Um, but yeah, just I mean, it's the best safety stuff I can say is really just common sense stuff. Like
Right. It
it's
kind of
stuff,
sounds like if
right?
you're
Like
for like a hike or something.
yeah, like literally, like it's just basic safety, like just basic stuff you should already do if you're going to something like this. Um, like even for protests that I know aren't really going to be crazy or have like zero potential to be crazy, I still like I still dress the way I normally would. I still carry water. I have a first aid kit in my car if it's needed. Um, so I mean, just always like just it's common sense stuff, really.
Yeah, be prepared.
Yeah, be prepared.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, did you have any stories that you wanted to tell us?
Stories. Um, I mean, I have a lot of stories. I can't really think of one off the top of my head. Um, I know people ask me all the time. I mean, we're sort of still on the subject of like protesting and stuff.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time, like, wh- like, what was my motivating factor for getting involved in like Black Lives Matter protests and stuff like that. And one of the biggest things I always say is like I grew up in a pretty racist family. Like I grew up. I don't want to say I grew up being racist, but I mean I definitely grew up learning those biases and like seeing that behavior. And you know I've made problematic statements in the past. I've made jokes in the past. Um, and that all really started changing like once I got to high school and began to really reach that age where like, you know, I was able to like more think for myself and like um when I really started taking an interest in like the news and stuff. Um and then it really changed once I got out of there and like moved to Dallas. My, you know, my worldview really blew up. Um but um sorry, I lost my train of thought. Um, but yeah, no,
Racist
it just
family.
yeah, racist family is really what pushed me. And like now, like I always tell people, you know, like being an ally is not like a once and done type thing. It's a learning experience. Like you don't just wake up one day and it's like boom, I'm an ally. Boom, you know, like I'm quote unquote woke. Like I'm constantly like learning new things. And that's really what it's about. Like being anti-racist is like really being anti like you know homophobic, anti-transphobic, anything like standing for human rights is it's always a learning experience. Like there's always new things to learn. There's always room for growth. So that's one thing I always like try and drive home to people. It's like don't think just because you know you're out protesting that the work stops there. Like there's work to be done at home. Like you know, have those hard conversations with friends, family, neighbors. I've had hard conversations in the checkout line at Kroger and Tom Thumb. So um, I always really just try and drive that home. Like, you know, the work doesn't stop at protesting. And that's really not even where the work should begin.
Right.
The protests are more or less, should be more or less just the means of justifying the end. Like, it should really protests should really just be used to apply pressure. Like the protest shouldn't be the main focal point. Unfortunately, they have been right now. But yeah, just you know, have the hard conversations, burst your little privilege bubbles. It's not easy. It's hard work. Um, there have been times, not anytime recently, of course, but there have been times in the past where I've had to be called out for something I've said or done. Um, it's really just about being able to be comfortable with that and like not take it personally and pick up the pieces and continue, you know, to grow. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, that's
not
really
really
good.
a story, but
No, that's great. That's great pieces, great advice. I think a lot of people too are struggling with having racist families, especially in the South, white people in the South, particularly. Um,
I know it's hard. Like, I mean, it was easy. I don't want to say it was easy for me. It had its own difficulties, um, but other factors made it easy for me. I don't speak to my family, but I can understand for others. You know, if you're close to your family, if you know your family unit is like super tight knit, like I can understand how it can be difficult and how you don't want to necessarily burn those bridges. But I tell people all the time, like I mean, if you've got to burn a bridge, because I mean, people aren't going to learn until they have to suffer the consequences.
Yeah.
So it's really as simple as that. Like, if you've got to kick your racist uncle out, like, sorry, hit the deck. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel bad personally. Um,
No, I mean, the initial, I feel like the initial estrangement is like, kind of rough, but in the end, you got to know that you made the right choice because you don't want that. I mean, like, I feel like, at least from my experience, I don't want that toxicity around me or my kid.
right.
I don't want,
Part
and
that's part of being anti-racist too. Part of being anti-racist is not tolerating that racism in your life. Like, if you're gonna say that, if you're gonna say that you're anti-racist, then you need to mean it. Like, you need to be willing to let the racists in your life know, like, this is not how my life is gonna be ran. Like, this isn't what I stand for. It's not acceptable. And so, like I said, they'll never learn their lessons unless they have to deal with the consequences. And
yeah,
losing family members, losing friends, that's a consequence.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, that's just one of those things, like, if you can't treat all other humans like, with the same respect that you do me or whatever,
But
like whoever, I often, like, I don't even know. Looking at Facebook is hard, seeing, like,
definitely. I mean, they teach us the golden rule in like first and like kindergarten: treat others the way you want to be treated. It's really simple. Like, white people don't want to be shot by police, so let's band together and rework the system. Like, it's basic human. It's like, it's a matter of morality and empathy, and like, it's not rocket science. Like, it's not difficult.
it's not. And I don't know, like, yeah, I think you said a lot when you say if you gotta burn that bridge, burn it,
Yeah.
because uh, you
It
know,
Like I said, I get that it's tough, but it's something that gets easier with time. Like, I've had to cut people off completely. People, like, I used to get flack all the time. Oh, you're really gonna not talk to me because of this? Yeah, I'm really not gonna talk to you because of this. Like, it's that simple. Because I mean, if, like I said, if you're wanting to lead a life caring for other people, like, you shouldn't have people in your life that are actively working against that. So,
it is that serious, like, it's serious enough to,
like, we literally have brown families in cages at our U.S. borders.
right.
So it's very serious. It's a matter of, like, I mean, I don't want to get too political, but it's very serious.
It is, yeah. And I think it says a lot about, people that can't see it for a, human issue. And especially when I see things like, uh, I don't see color, everyone is, you know what I'm talking about, those
Yeah.
posts?
My
Like,
my favorite is when someone says it doesn't matter if they're white, black, purple, yellow. Like, if people were purple, come on, y'all'd still be hating them.
y'all would extra hate
I
them.
would extra hate them.
Yeah. I'm not trying to, I mean, obviously I have, tons of uh shit that I gotta fix about the way, that, not just that I was raised, with things that I, incorrectly assume or whatever, but like it is super heavy dealing with
Yeah,
racist ass family on Facebook.
yeah.
I said it.
It is. It's not an easy process. It's like, but it's not supposed to be easy. Like, it's supposed to, like,
Right, if that's the
hurt,
hard,
but it's worth it. Like, it's worth it to stand up for something that needs to be stood up for.
yeah, if that's the hardest thing that, we have to deal
Right.
with. Yeah,
Right. Like that's exactly, that's the hardest thing we have to deal with. Like, I think we can manage.
right, right. Okay, back to not so heavy. Would you like to play a game?
Sure.
Okay, so um let me see. So I chose this one for us because we used to work at a theater together. We had tons of fun and we cut up all the time and it was great, great memories. Um, I went back to the theater. I think you knew that, but COVID shut the whole thing down indefinitely. So I was feeling a little nostalgic for our time. So basically, this game is finish the famous movie quote.
Oh, okay.
Now, for those of you that don't know, we did not have a ton of movies at this theater. Now, I know you've worked at like more
Uh-huh.
larger ones, larger theaters and stuff, but we probably did not have any of these movies at that theater.
Probably not.
So hopefully that it's something you've seen though. Okay, so finish this one. Toto, I've got a feeling.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Yes. um, here's looking at.
I don't know that one. Here's looking at you. Uh,
Kid.
I don't know that one.
It's from Casablanca. It's Here's looking at you, kid.
Oh,
Okay, I did not want to do this one in the voice, but if I don't think you're gonna know it. I'm so embarrassed. Okay. Why so?
why so serious?
Okay.
I would have gotten that one. That one's pretty famous. Yeah,
I know, but if I just was like, why
it
so?
makes it better. Yeah, it makes it better with the face or the voice.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna make him an offer.
He can't refuse.
Yeah. Um, this one's a giveaway, kind of. Uh, May the Force
Be with you.
just keep.
Just keep swimming. Just keep. Uh,
Show me.
oh, I feel like I should know this one.
People say it all the time. Like,
Show me the money.
I was gonna say they used to say it back in the day.
That movie's. I don't know what that quote's from though.
Jerry Maguire.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Me neither. um, I'm not doing the voice on this one.
Okay.
Mama always said,
Life is like a box of chocolates.
Houston,
We have a problem.
say hello.
To my little friend.
We were really bad at that, but yes, that is it.
Cool accent.
Awesome. I should have made a lot more. I didn't think you'd blow through them like that.
I've seen a lot of movies.
I know. I know. I figured you would. I figured you would do well. I just didn't figure you would do that well. Well, I don't have anything else. Do you have like a website or a Facebook or Instagram where people can find some of the stuff that you guys are doing?
Yeah, so I don't have a website. I've never gotten around to creating one, and that's not my forte. We do have a Facebook. We have a Twitter and Instagram too, of course. Everything is in solidarity DFW, I believe. I'll link it. I can link it in the comments below. But I'm 99% sure it's in. I don't handle most. I handle our Facebook, but Instagram and Twitter I don't handle because I don't know how to work those. I'm a terrible millennial. But yeah, it's in solidarity DFW.
Okay.
And our logo is, if, for reference, it's a pride logo. Like you'll recognize it.
Okay. And do you have anything planned coming up, or should anybody
Yeah,
tune in?
so we're actually we don't have a date set yet. We're planning two things actually. We're planning a forum and like sort of like an open house where we talk about what In Solidarity is, like what we want to do moving forward, like direct actions, community service, that sort of thing. And also going to talk a little bit about intersectionality. We really want to open our membership up to allow for more people to join us, LGBTQI plus or BIPOC who want to join up and be organizers. Um, one thing we're really working on doing now is creating a safe space for LGBTQI plus activists to sort of get together and organize. Because we've seen a lot of homophobia and transphobia and protests lately. Um, so we're really trying to help create a space where people within the community can feel comfortable. Um, but of course, that doesn't mean we're only taking LGBTQI plus. Like if you're straight and you want to join up, by all means. Um, and then we're planning sort of like we don't have the details like concrete yet, but sort of planning like a rainbow out. And that's just a tentative name. Um, but sort of like a pride themed protest. Um, Not sure what the specifics on that are just yet. It's just in the works. But yeah, you can, huh?
So stay tuned
Yeah,
for it.
stay tuned. But yeah, definitely just follow our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we'll release that information. Yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. It was very enlightening having you on, and I miss you tons. I'm super proud of you,
I miss you.
and I am so glad that, well, I'm not gonna say it yet because I don't know what's gonna happen,
Right,
but
right.
see you in a month. No.
Right.
No. But yeah, I think you had a lot of good things to say, and I think you're doing a lot of good. And, I'm sorry that you have to deal with people who don't understand what, I mean, that has to be it because otherwise, I mean,
Yeah, and there's a lot of issues with other activists who like. There's a lot of people don't realize how much ego is at play within the activism scene. So that's always something having to like work around other people's egos. Like it gets exhausting, but I mean, as long as you stick to the message and stick to what you need to do, like it all works out eventually.
right on. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure.
If you guys want to follow, it's on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram in Solidarity DFW, and he's
Yes.
going to link it.
Yep.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night. Thank you for watching. Thank you for doing this.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.